Okay, so imagine looking out your window, maybe seeing snow melting away,
Hmm.
perhaps a bit earlier than you'd expect.
That image, it really sets the scene.
It does. And that visual comes straight from the source we're digging into today, which brings us to our topic, global warming.
That's right. And for this particular deep dive, we're working from a transcript. It's from a YouTube video, Global Warming, the End Game, the Dr. Banach Show.
Right. So our plan is really to unpack what that specific source says, what it claims global warming is, what it points to as causes and effects.
And what we can actually do about it, according to this video at least.
Exactly. So let's start with the basics. How does this source define global warming?
It keeps it pretty straightforward. Basically, the rising average temperature of the Earth.
Okay.
Yeah, and it points out the planet's warmed up by about 1 degree Celsius over the last 100 years or so.
Which doesn't sound like much, maybe.
Well, no, but the source frames it as a really big deal. Significant.
And it looks ahead, too, right?
Oh,
It mentions projections.
it does. A potential rise of maybe 2 to 5 degrees Celsius by the end of this century.
Wow. And the implication there is?
More unpredictable weather patterns, basically, and, real challenges for a lot of species trying to adapt.
Okay, so that's the what. What about the why? According to this source, what's driving this warming?
It zeroes in on the greenhouse effect. That's the main mechanism highlighted.
Right.
It explains how, well, human activities, especially burning lots of fossil fuels, coal, oil, gas.
Since the Industrial Revolution, that whole period.
Exactly. Releasing carbon dioxide, other gases. They build up.
And the source uses that image, doesn't it? Like a blanket?
Yeah, an invisible blanket wrapping around the Earth. It traps heat from the sun.
Heat that would otherwise just radiate back out into space.
Precisely. But it also brings up another major factor.
Which is?
Deforestation. Cutting down forests on a massive scale.
Right, because trees are crucial. They soak up CO2.
Huge amounts of it. So when you clear large areas like rainforests for wood or farming,
That CO2 doesn't get absorbed. It just stays in the atmosphere.
it stays there, adding to that greenhouse effect. That's the connection the source makes.
So if these things continue, what consequences does the video talk about?
Well, generally, a warmer climate means more erratic weather, less predictable seasons.
Okay.
And a really big concern, it notes, is shrinking sea ice. Glaciers melting.
Leading to rising sea levels globally.
Yeah, that's a major point it makes.
Which kind of brings us to the what can be done part. What does this source suggest you, the listener, can actually do?
It's interesting, actually. It frames prevention, or at least helping out, as something achievable through pretty simple actions. Surprisingly simple, maybe.
Yeah, I noticed that. It really pushes the idea that tiny changes made at home can add up.
Totally. It lists things like, switching to energy-saving light bulbs,
Simple enough.
or choosing to walk or bike sometimes for short trips instead of always taking the car.
Makes sense.
Remembering to turn off lights, TVs, computers when you're not using them, that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
And recycling, reducing food waste, those are in there too?
Yep. The source basically labels these as small steps, but ones that collectively make a difference.
Okay, so just to recap the core message from this Dr. Banach's video transcript then. Global warming is Earth's average temperature going up,
Right.
caused mainly, it says, by human-generated greenhouse gases from burning fossil fuels and cutting down forests, leading to effects like, well, weird weather and rising sea levels.
And it encourages individual action, those simple daily habits.
Exactly. But then, just as we're thinking about those tiny changes,
Yeah.
the source throws in this really fascinating bit of trivia, just kind of shifts gears.
Oh, yeah. What's that? It points out that while we're focused on this current warming, the Earth's position relative to the sun naturally changes over vast timescale.
How vast?
Every 40,000 years, it mentions, causing natural climate cycles.
Okay, a long time.
And maybe even more perspective shifting, it notes that technically we're still in an ice age.
Wait, really? An ice age that started when?
2.5 million years ago, apparently. We're just in one of the warmer spells, an interglacial period.
Huh. So here's something to think about then, building on that trivia.
Go on.
How does thinking about Earth's deep climate history, these immense natural cycles the source brings up, how does that frame, or maybe even challenge, our view of the rapid human influence changes the source spends most of its time discussing?
That's a really interesting question to leave people with. Puts those tiny changes in a different kind of context, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Something to mull over.